This is an absolute abomination and a disgrace, and it is a mark on the American White House. You all know that I think Trump has done a lot of good things, but here he is doing something that I think is nothing short of unacceptable. Unacceptable to be inviting the Syrian president into the White House, a man who used to be an Al-Qaeda operative. And when I say Al-Qaeda operative, I mean he was on America's top wanted list. They were offering a $10 million reward for him. And now this guy is the same as this guy. I am disgraced by this. I am shocked by this. I am absolutely revolted by this. Look, I'm all for different decisions and us trying to make peace and accept things, but I am not for the total normalization of the fact that you can have a terrorist who has been photographed standing, holding nothing else. I don't want to get canceled on YouTube, but heads that are disconnected from bodies and smiling because he's an Al-Qaeda terrorist. And this man has now found himself a tailor. He's changed his outfit from these crazy turban Taliban things. He's overthrown the Assad regime in Syria. And America's so obsessed with the idea of having peace with these crazy states like Syria that they're willing to invite the leadership to the White House. This guy is nothing but an Al-Qaeda terrorist. Okay, let's read this poster for a second because I don't think we're getting enough of an understanding of how mad this is. Let's read it, okay? Up to $10 million reward for Mohammed al-Jalwani, okay? Mohammed al-Jalwani, also known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani, also known as Mohammed al-Julani, is the senior leader of the terrorist organization, the Al-Nusra Front, ANF, Al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria. Al-Qaeda, guys. Do you remember Al-Qaeda? Do you remember the history of what Al-Qaeda did to America? Under al-Julani's leadership, ANF has carried out multiple terrorist attacks throughout Syria, often targeting civilians. The U.S. government is offering a reward of up to $10 million for information about al-Julani. Absolute confidentiality is assured and relocation may be available. If you have information, please contact the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate. Stop this terrorist. Ta-da! This is how we stop terrorists. Ta-da! This is it. Look at that. Look at that. It makes me so mad. And there's worse. Here's the press release.
Earlier, did you come to any agreements today?
Well, I had an agreement with him. He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place.
Yeah, we know
he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I liked him. I get along with him. The new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East. First time that anyone can remember that ever happening.
Okay, as you all know, I like Trump. I like a lot of the things, but he is very deeply, truly mistaken about this. Number one, we do not have peace in the Middle East. Let's be very clear. We still have the crazy Houthis. We still have Hamas. We still have Hamas who are fully operational, not at the level that they were, but they're still there. We've got Hezbollah, who is rearming every single day and trying to attack Israel more and more and more. We still have Syria. And I'll remind you guys that whilst this man used to do this thing, now he's in a suit after having overthrown Assad and pretending that he's all about peace deals. But under him, we've seen a massacre of the Alawite minority. He's killed 1,000 of them or more. And he's sent 100, 200,000 people dispersed. Many Christians have had their homes looted and raided. There have been mass rapes. The Druze, let's not forget about the Druze who were slaughtered under al-Julani's command. There's no peace in Syria. There is no peace because this guy is an Al-Qaeda terrorist. And I understand, I truly, truly understand Trump's hope and want for a change and a shift in the Middle East. And I think that there is a possibility for some sort of change. But I think that one of the most dangerous things that you could do is present to the Islamic world that if you are a raving loony bin terrorist, a jihadi slaughterer murderer, all you have to do is slaughter a whole bunch more people, but do it in a suit. Pretend that you are actually a politician, and you'll be accepted into the White House. You'll be welcomed onto the lawn, in for private discussions about peace. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, even though I'm really not in the mood to do it. I understand that there are more things at play here, that there is a lot of regional things that are trying to be shifted, and it's better to be friends with somebody like this than an enemy of them. And that potentially Trump has to just kind of put his ego down a bit and welcome this man in so that there can be some form of manipulation, which we know is what Trump loves to do. He likes to kind of use his ability to give things to people to make sure that they keep in check with America's wishes. But at the end of the day, the signaling of this is abhorrent. And it also explains to us why the Palestinian Authority, you know, Mahmoud Abbas, that raving lunatic politician guy who is a terrorist, who's responsible for the pay for slave program, you know, the program that pays people, makes people millionaires if they murder Jews. He's also an accepted political figure. Now, the United States made a very strong statement against him. A very strong statement. They didn't allow him to come in for, you know, that UN General Assembly thing. But here, you've got the leader of Syria, who is a raving loony bin, and you're inviting him into the White House. It is a legitimization of a terrorist. And I have a real problem with that. Again, I understand the arguments for it. It's better, you know, better to be friends with your enemies than to kind of hate them. It's better to keep them in your pocket and to control them. But there is a form of legitimization of an Al-Qaeda terrorist, which is absolutely unacceptable. And it's part of a mentality where the Americans are so obsessed with peace above all that they won't look at the reality. I mean, right now in Israel, this is a bit of a niche topic, but in Israel there's a debate happening because there's 200 armed terrorists under a tunnel and they're trying to get out. And America's putting a lot of pressure on Israel to just release them. The reason Israel is trying to say, no, we're not going to, is because it brings us back to this old time mentality. This thing that if we just, for our own diplomatic reasons, not wanting to explode the ceasefire, etc., not wanting to kind of end the deal before all the hostages are home, if we just accept their terms and play on their side of the things, then we'll get to the peace that we ideally want to dream. Peace is an illusion. Peace is an illusion when you are dealing with jihadi radicals. Look, it would be one thing if this guy was Al-Qaeda from like 40 years ago and has completely denounced his way and was now like a Buddha in a tent doing nothing but praying and meditating, and somehow through his meditation had become the head of Syria. But the way he did it was by decapitating, raping, pillaging, looting, destroying, burning, terrorizing, traumatizing an entire country. That's how he beat Assad to the regime. Remember, Assad was a terrible dictator, and al-Jilani had to be able to compete with strength. I see none of this as acceptable. If you haven't clocked that from my reaction, I think it is not okay. And it is showing of a mentality in which America is willing to lower its standards in many ways so that they can get to this kind of idealistic peace ideal. The problem is that Giuliani doesn't give a crap about peace. Neither do any of these other terrorists. They want power and they want control. And right now, that's what you've given them. You've given them power by bringing them into the White House. Again, maybe I don't understand all of the complicated geopolitical things that lead to this. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, there is never, ever going to be a justification for bringing an Al-Qaeda terrorist who likes to behead people into the most important building in the American political world. I don't think there's ever going to be an acceptance for that. And I don't understand this, and it's making me very mad, and I think it's part of a very unhealthy mentality of hoping that we're going to get peace in the Middle East above all, and not truly understanding that some things are just not worth it. Thank you for your attention to this matter.